Spider Queen. Now, things to take into consideration. We had day 1 of Donkeys R Us, not so hot. Day 2, mix things up, seeing a little bit of LZ Gamer on support. Not the traditional melee assassin, Sonya, Bruiser, Dahaka, whatever that he ran most of the season. In tonight's matches, they played a little different again. There was double poison with Niziba Lunara. LZ was on the Zagara as well. So they've made themselves a little bit weirder to draft against, I feel. That's part of the mental game they're obviously trying to play. Heroes Hearth absolutely watching those games, analyzing it, preparing for the draft. I don't expect to see them run the same style again here.
Well, Ariel has been a pretty big theme thus far in our games, as she suffered in defeat last game. However, did have good results, to say the least, as that will be our first pickup, and we instantly go in to a Chromie and ETC.
Last night was the first time that Arthlon played the Chromie in playoffs. Throughout this phase, I've said it's probably been his most devastatingly scary hero, but it ended up being Game 5, and they did not succeed in getting the win. Chromie on this map provides a lot of good pressure. ETC gives you the lockdown and the setup for that blow-up potential. There's also a case for Malfurion to be played by BBJ, and that's something we're going to have to look for here. They like to run ETC Malfurion and then have the Chromie follow-up for blow-up. And that's something that DRU is definitely thinking about right now. We need to be ready for that. Tassadar, Burst of Stain with the shields, has already been taken away. Do they opt for just an early Johanna to be a little bit safer with the Iron Skin? You know, hold the gems? Yes. They go for the Johanna, and they pick up the Vala for, you know, clear and battery as well.
We saw this type of control work pretty well before. The Chromie ETC style, Chromie, again, we said it in our first series, Chromie has generally been considered one of the better counters towards Ariel. Doesn't work as well against Johanna with that Iron Skin, but is one of the good counters towards Ariel. So we'll see how that comes into play, but a Lily ban potential coming out here. I'm not 100% sure what they have in mind outside of potential Cassia, which, we've talked about previously, but instead they move over to the Lucio hover.
Lucio. Remember the movie? I think it was called Hook. Yeah, Hook. The Peter Pan movie. Rufio. Oh, I want a Rufio Lucio skin. Please, Blizzard. Rhaegar ends up being the ban. We have seen Rhaegar Ariel be pretty scary. You got Crystal Aegis. You've got the Ancestral Heal. You've got tons of clear with the Rhaegar as well. And they're going to deny that.
I think it's a reasonable choice there, which means that they'll likely be going another direction with the Vala there. You don't have to worry about as much of that wave clear. We saw the Lucio hover. They might consider to go into the Lucio themselves. We might see the BBJ Malfurion that you talked about, or even the Uther, depending on what they go up against. So, we have the potential for a Crowan Lunara, a Crowan Greymane. One thing that that you'll probably see early and often is going to be that power slide into a Chromie Dragon's Breath. We'll see if they can get that combo going early, but Johanna definitely makes that a bit more troublesome because of the Iron Skin. So we'll see how that plays out in the early parts of our game, but Donkeys R Us has to consider their second ban, and it will be the Lunara ban. I like that a lot. Now, Greymane has been a high priority for Crowan in a lot of ways, as has Cassia. Since they've already gone Chromie, it's less likely we'll see something like a Gul'dan, especially against this composition. So the Crowan hero will be of particular interest, and I'm going to throw a hero out there that we haven't seen in a while. It's not really good against Johanna, but it's something they had run in the past. It's been a while. Zul on this battleground used to be a thing. Has had different points where he's done well. We saw it just the other night. And Azul Chromie composition can be a little bit scary for the easy lockdown, easy skill shots. We'll see if they go into that round.
definitely something we've seen them play.
Wow, they still go into the gold hand.
Yeah, they're going to do it.
Interesting.
It guarantees good clear, right? You don't have to worry about that. You have immensely powerful control of team fights with things like slowing sands. Or you can force, if you want to go chrono loop, it will essentially bait out the Crystal Aegis of Ariel. It's the nice thing about taking away Rhaegar. Rhaegar's really the only good cleanse you can throw in the mix for them. And just an added bit that could be a threat from Chromie. But I do like slowing sands with Mosh Pit threatening, Twilight Dreams, and Horrifies. Lots of good options for big plays to be made. 2 picks left in the roster. Solo lane, naturally a necessity. But Donkeys R Us have shown us some weird styles.
We saw the Nazebo last game.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they go it again here.
Maybe.
Let's go back into your double support Nazebo. And they do.
Yeah. They got the Global of Brightwing. Technically, she does offer the cleanse. I was saying, you take away Rhaegar, Brightwing could grab it. In every single game in which Brightwing has been played, which is quite a few, it has been phase shift talent for 1, 4, and 7, giving you the cooldown reduction, giving you the vision of the peekaboo, and giving you that shield to set up for big Emerald wins. I like the control she offers. The polymorph, yeah, helps deal with ETC. I don't think we're going to see a dive here on this last spot, but maybe a Dahaka? Or maybe a Leo? I don't know.
It's kind of a weird spot here because generally you'll get a power slide into some roots, into a Chromie Bomb, but now all of a sudden you've got Johanna as the only frontliner. You've got Pixie Dust, which offers the spell armor from Brightwing in case Iron Skin's not up. And it makes this look rough.
So
where I think the flank style is good.
I want to talk about this because in most of the drafts throughout playoffs, we have seen Arthlon's hero get selected last. This is a big transition to pick Chromie first, right? That's Arthlon's hero again in 9 times out of 10. And McIntyre has played a lot of off supports in games. We've seen him on Rhaegar, we've seen him on Brightwing, we've seen him on Tassadar. We haven't seen almost any McIntyre melee, which is what he's known for. And we're seeing his Dahaka for what I think is the actual first time in the event. And this is the Hero's Hearth throughout the phase that looked more dominant with this more draft pattern and layout for the composition. And I'm excited to see them putting Mac on the Dahaka in this case.
Yeah, and it's a far cry from the double support that they've been running because now we're looking at a solo Malfurion. Shades of Phase 1 showing up here. And I'm really trying to figure out if I might have liked something better. The Dahaka, really good wave clear. The Malthael, if he goes in there, you know, there's a bit of control from Johanna. There's a polymorph from Brightwing. You don't have that good style of heals if you go a solo Malfurion. So they're looking to play a little bit more poke-oriented with Chromie. They have the wave clear with Gul'dan, and then they have the solo laner of Dahaka, which could potentially come in for the flank. We'll see how it plays out here.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the lower bracket finals. On the blue side, it is Heroes Hearth with BBJ and Malfurion. Crowan on Gul'dan. Arthlon will be playing Chromie Ishbu on ETC, and McIntyre on the Dahaka.
And on the right side will be that of Donkeys R Us, our second time taking a look at them tonight, as it will be Jin on the Johanna, Elhaim on Ariel, Soy Osarian on the Vala. Rounding it out will be LZ Gamer on Nazebo, and Brightwing being played by Sliceblade.
A best of 5 to determine who goes to the grand finals and who goes to the Crucible. Spider build is going to be the style for Nazebo. No Toads today. I think the overwhelming poison, the harmony of the Toads plus Lunara was definitely an interesting style in the lower bracket semifinals. A little bit more standard here, going for the Spiders.
Yeah, I mean, different opposition calls for different talents looking on the other side. I don't blame them one bit. It also helps significantly with the late game wave clear. Not having Lunara this time going into a Vala will give you that late game clear once you get Spider Colony and everything stacked up, and McIntyre just missing the tongue onto LZ Gamer.
Roam, roam, roam you go across the map. Looking for opportunities so far, the polys, the detainment strikes, offering lots of good clear and control. They are getting some nice DPS onto that. Johanna.
She got locked down in that, but comes out with the heal from Ariel. No worry about the mana. Plus, you've got Brightwing there. You can see McIntyre getting the assist from Arthlon, who comes down, drops the bomb, but up in the top.
Yeah, ETC a little bit too far forward. I mean, zombie wall, condemned to pull you back into it. You can tie those kind of things together. You got Polymorph that helps it. Then if the Detainment Strike open to it, there is a lot of crowd control. And yeah, ETC can often dance in that front line and get away with a lot, but he's got to be careful. Got to respect it.
I had to look at the body on the ground. I saw the hidden portrait, and I saw the teeth, and I was like, wait a minute. Gul'dan and ETC, a little bit too similar in their top portraits.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit of an underbite going on there.
Nose is a big difference. Power slide in, phase shift being attempted. Gonna make it, but not enough for the save. No phase
not enough
shield
at all.
yet.
I mean, that is a surprising pick. I mean, if Johanna goes down in a double support composition, then you are doing something right.
It's true, but phase shield would have made the difference there. So it worked out. And yeah, the burst sustain isn't huge without that. Crystal Aegis and Face Shield should answer a good bit of it in the future.
Well, the gem count, 35 already turned in on the side of Heroes Hearth, making sure to turn in early and often. And when you have that significant wave clear between the Gul'dan and the Malfurion poke, it gives you those opportunities to safely rotate in between lanes, control the lanes. Oh my goodness, that just barely. I don't know if it would have been enough to kill. Still early in the game, only 13 stacks, but I would have loved to have seen that hit.
Yeah, you see the Brightwing phase shifting in. That means they wanted to look for a kill. Not going to be able to find it, but Brightwing does have the hyper shift at level 1, allowing for those phase shifts to be, well, plentiful. Constantly around allies, constantly getting that cooldown reduction. It feels like she's always available.
Detainment Strike just a pixel or two away from getting hit into the wall. And this is one of the things you can do. When you have the superior wave clear and you have an ETC, you can simply walk over into that lane. If you have kill potential, you put it on, else you can disrupt those rotations, thus maximizing your efforts. And I love the control that we see Heroes Hearth displaying here in the early game.
A very patient game so far, but gem collection or turn-in has been well in favor for the side of Heroes Hearth. They had 49, that one gem easy to drop off. And here come the first Webbers of the game. Experience dead even as both teams approach level 7. Tearing down that first wall will get them a good XP burst for 7. See what they can do.
Tear down for what?
Tear down for what?
Well, we got the Web Weavers coming in finally here, and should get a decent amount of value. You don't have that really, really good clear, and you know, we're seeing kind of the hybrid build again. You know, you have Nazebo, but early game, I think this is where the hybrid build of the auto attacks at 1 into the Hungering Arrow build at 4 will actually struggle a bit in this instance. Not getting that extra multi-shot damage at level 4. You know, we'll see if we see the repeating arrow. We do see the repeating arrow at level 7, so you don't have that burst style damage. You don't have the grenades. You don't have the multi-shot damage, so I think they're actually going to struggle in the early defense here.
It's showing off, for sure. Clear is not as impactful. LZ Gamer not able to push in the way he would like to. McIntyre and Arthlon getting lots of good value with this Web Weaver to attempt to take down the fort. Rotation on its way, followed behind here, caught by the slowing sands, and that's going to be their cue to leave. So not quite enough to finalize this fort. The Winions will not be able to take it down. Decent defense.
Yeah, they're fortunate to hold on to that, and it would have just stretched the XP lead even greater than it is. Having that advantage in the wave clear and getting these early structures down have really added up. Soyasarian eating a lot of those corruption stacks. Half of his health bar basically was deleted by poison.
43 HP. Level 1 talent for Gul'dan has been completed. 40 targets hit. No cleanse. They did go for the face shield. You know, it is good to point out that when Brightwing uses face shield, she's going to get the shield herself, but she's got to be wary that Chromie sets up the big W. And Chromie did go for the Dragon's Eye to get additional burst. Brightwing, if timed properly, you'll hit both targets and get big damage. But the face shield would mitigate a good portion of that at least.
Bottom does fall. Brightwing comes in. Arthalon on retreat. They have 10, but...
Oh, nice spiders. They're going to nibble at the heels of that gnome.
Oh,
but
my.
Not quite enough. All right, McIntyre race carring forward, looking for the drag. Jin going to be saved with the nice usage of the zombie wall, but ETC has the flank. A two-man power slide. Going to look for the double kill. The pixie dust getting Slice Blade away, and it's going to be a living fairy dragon. Uh-oh. Brushhawker coming on in. Drag does miss.
Just barely missed there. Lucky to be alive.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. 10. The object that's being sought after right now. There it is. Crystal Aegis, Rain of Vengeance, Emerald Wind, Gargantuan, and Blessed Shield. The most common picks for all 5 heroes. Here to help them defend a back-to-back turn-in of Hero's Hearth. But Hero's Hearth already have that level lead. 1 fort opposing the Webweaver push. Let's see if they can get a fort, see if they can get a keep wall with this summon.
The top lane being cleared out by Chromie will naturally push. They might try and push their advantage in one of these bot to mid lanes just because you can get that keep value, that keep wall value. Stretch that experience lead, try and hit that 13 talent tier while your opponent's still waiting for the first turn in, and it still find themselves over a level down. ETC going in for the power slide down below.
Oh, the fear is actually going to keep Vala out. Slice Blade is low. Double support keeping the dream alive, but Webweaver's still quite healthy. Nazeebo's going to start working on the mid lane, but the bottom wall is going to have to be sacrificed here.
That's a tough spot here for Donkeys, and it's a map where if you have this control style, you can get to that 16 tier because the spiders were completed for Nazeebo. They haven't quite taken a team fight, but you can get to 16 with Spider Culling, and your defenses become much easier.
That's true.
So if they can get there, get a turn, and get some map control back in any form or fashion, would be extremely beneficial to them extending this game.
Now, you always got to consider just the power of Nazeebo in the late game, but if you get too far behind, it doesn't really matter. Right now, level and a half deficit, they have plenty of gems. A turn-in would be wonderful for them, but without level 13, it's going to be a risky thing to push too hard towards that potential turn-in. Good spider usage, revealing Ishbu.
They need to try and get something, but now they're on a timer one more time because Jin can't decide which way he wants to go. Nicely done there with the Iron Skin, but they're on a timer because the Siege Giants are pushing bottom, and I made this comment last game for numerics, is that if you want to get a turn in, you have to give your opponent a reason to stop denying it. And one of those reasons is picking up a camp, picking up something to deny that. We see a boss attempt will be had here for Hero's Hearth, and I doubt this will go contested, but it does give an opportunity for Donkeys to at least get a turn in. The thing is here, Jake, they're also getting a night camp, so mid lane will have to be responded to, and this boss value will be negligible.
They might get the fort, but this is pretty good for Donkeys overall. Knights will be cleaned up quickly. Gives them time and space to get level 13 and even up the talent tier, and then find an opportunity for E16. Beyond that, not entirely sure of how much they'll get out of the Webweavers in terms of pressuring the forts on the other side. Actually, so far, I think they have about 0 structure down. Oh, that's a tower down. Woohoo!
But more so than anything, they get this down. They've got a little bit of health left here. They get map control in the sense that the lanes will be pushed out to basically a neutral territory, and it allows them to stop allowing Hero's Hearth to dictate the pace.
true.
They're not going to get any damage out of this. It's just going to be cleared up. But now they're holding on to a lot of gems. They're holding on to 60-plus gems.
Right. The back-to-back turn-in is pretty much what they need here. And they're going to look for it. It's 13 to 14. The window is small, though. 15 rapidly approaching. Brightwing and Dahaka both getting the global soak for their teams. Dahaka completing his quest. Superstition. Worried about that Chromie.
That's something you generally can't get away with, but going up against double mages, wonderful pickup. Oftentimes we'll see the ice block there, but Superstition, no better time to pick it up than here. Going to work out really, really well.
Definitely a good option for him in this kind of situation. 41 gems dropped off. One more group of minions would confirm a turn-in. For Hero's Heart phase shift. Clean disengage.
Clean disengage, and you know, if they're going to get that back-to-back turn-in, it's going to be a tough thing to do. Ishbu finally rotating down because Hero's Hearth now has 60 gems, enough for turn-in, so we'll see if they try and get it in and then get that 16 around the same time. Slowing Sand's going to be put down, allowing Ishbu to turn in. Gul'dan at the bottom. We should have ourselves a turn-in here momentarily.
Yeah, no reason for Hero's Hearth to force the issue. They don't need a desperate fight. They want 16. They're about to have 16 with a turn-in. One gem away, Gul'dan, Malfurion, whoever up there drops it off, will be summoning those Web Weavers, and now the keeps will be threatened. Defense here needs to be clean. And they've got the play potential. Gargantuan solid in the defense. But I'm worried, J-How.
You know, if they lose a single keep here, I'd say that's good for Hero's Hearth. And it's about as best of a bad scenario for Donkeys R Us. They have to be careful not to lose multiple members. They can't get caught out with the Horrify, the Roots obviously. And that's Iron Skin already used to make sure you get back in on the Roots. You don't have a cleanse. So you don't have 16, you don't have Spider Colony for Nazeebo, who's stepping out very far to the mid lane.
Yeah, Dahaka's on his way towards him. He did deal with that mid Web Weaver. Dahaka's getting global push in the bottom, however. Now Nazeebo's looking to respond to that. His keep is all but lost. But they might hold on. They might hold on. It's going to suffer heavy damage. Arthlon is throwing the skill shots, trying to pressure the backline of Soyuzarian and Elheim. The Web Weaver has been cleaned up. Oh, Dahaka is actually going to get bottom. That's a big deal. They might get two here. Yeah, Arthlon.
Chromie, there's no way you don't.
He can just wait. One more W. Oh, Beltflame. There we go. That hurts.
All right, losing one was the best of a bad scenario. Losing two was the bad scenario.
Yeah.
The worst scenario would have been if you got picked or not and ended up losing the game.
Mm-hmm.
But no globe. Well, I take that back. You have Brightwing. She's not exactly the best clear for catapults pushing. Having that be your clear is actually a really tough time, but they will find themselves uneven talent tiers in a moment. Spider Colony will be there. And again, I can't help but point out the Hungering Arrow build for Vala. Not contributing to that wave clear against the push. She ended up targeting her Hungering Arrow on the backside to try and finish her quest because she's still only at 75. And she spent that, instead of attacking the Web Weaver, spending it on heroes to try and finish that quest just so you have some value out of it.
It's tough. So it's 117. Gonna try to find a new home. Takes the full brunt of Chromie Gold. Nice ice block, but the polymorph is going to be enough to lock him down. Twilight Dream barely being used as BBJ does end up falling. The slowing sands are good. The fear on Brightwing. Another ice block has been cast, but down he goes with Arthlon having a nice sand blast awaiting.
And Soy and company, they are stuck in this, and this is the level 20 upgrade, and they are getting stuck there. Elheim eating about 70% of his damage. Soy trying to look for the quickest way out. Ends up finding himself on the wrong side as Crystal Legion is going to go there. And the mosh pit, the instant they come out, the damage isn't quite there, but here it comes as Chromie dropping the bombs on him as 3 members go down.
It looked good getting BBJ at the start of the fight, but the slowing sands proved to just be way too much. Some clutch Horrifies being cast, and that gem collection is reduced to 0.
117-0 real quick.
Never found that new home. This game is what? I said they wanted to find a new home for the gems before the fight, and this game is just about over here.
I have catapults on the core already.
Yeah, it's 80% HP. Everyone will be up for the defense, but not going to be an easy defense.
Yeah, you know, that's 70% down. A boss this late in the game. This is basically indefensible. No matter what. You do have Nazebo. Flush shield is out,
but wind has been used. They're trying their darndest. Heroes Hearth with a dominant start to the series.
It was 8 kills to 2. It wasn't quite the action-packed series, as that's what happens with a Chromie composition. A Johanna on the other side, you don't necessarily have the same type of engages you would, but you do what it takes to win the game, and you play against your opponent. We saw the early Chromie pickup. I'd say it definitely paid off, and they ended up executing that composition incredibly well, I think. And Gul'dan, 53k damage, 175,000 on the wave clear. Chromie not exactly getting the damage, but she sure as heck got the kills. 6 kills were the total there for Chromie, making sure to complete those. So nicely done, Heroes Hearth in game number 1.
I like the adaptations we saw. Bringing McIntyre back into the Haka role felt really good for the team. You know, always being in that global, having the opportunities to flank, you know, find the drags. It worked out well for them for sure. Yesterday, we saw a fair bit of Arthlon on Falstad, and that's kind of how they were responding to the global situation, oftentimes not drafting Brightwing, oftentimes letting the other team have Brightwing. You need to respond to globals. You really do on just about any single map, and that was just a really nice Heroes Hearth draft for them as a team. That's a draft that just feels like their play style, felt really good for them. It's a best of 5. We're going to see a few different styles from these teams.
This is twice now I've seen the hybrid build. I actually really like the hybrid build for Vala. I just don't like it on Tomb of the Spider Queen when you need that wave clear. And Nazebo is the solo. We've seen it struggle now twice. I'm not saying it's bad, but if you're going to use that style, you have to be more of an engaged style composition to make sure that you can get advantage. I don't even know if she even finished the level 4 talent.
I don't know if she did either, and I don't know how many times we saw the Hungering Arrow used twice, right? That's you go
they got the kill on Malfurion, that was it there at the end, and then you got trapped on the backside. But what I'm saying is like
sound effects.
But but contributing to the clear. This is twice. That last night was an abysmal draft. In which it was. But this is another time to where it's very noticeable. Very noticeable. When you are losing that much on the first individual Webweaver push, and you find a way to like, all right, I'm going to go Hungry Arrow build. Well, there's so many minions there that you can't exactly just fire it into that. Your multi-shot is lacking that burst damage from your level 4 talent. You don't get the grenades at level 7. So all of a sudden, your multi-shot is weak, and everything that you're trying to do it doesn't add up. And I think, to me, it just hasn't shown. You've got to, if you're going to play that style, you better make sure that you have decent wave clear, and Johanna is not enough to defend against the web weavers.
Definitely not. Definitely not. And, you know, unfortunate for Donkeys, Nazebo isn't going to be that top DPS mid-game. He really is a late-game hero. They were always down a level, maybe 2 levels. There were moments that it looked good for them. There were moments where they almost were able to crawl back into the game. But that last fight was just the death sentence for them. And the Web Weavers did too much. Clear. When we saw them earlier in the last series, they drifted hyper clear, hyper range, you know, and it really helped them hold on. Not the case there. We are going to Dragonshire, so we'll see how they want to approach this. Now, Dragonshire, there are times where you might see something like Medivh or Stitches, you know, but we don't actually get a lot of that in Open Division. And I'm curious if any of these teams are practiced enough to want to run that, because we haven't seen any of it. And Pro League, you get a lot more of it.
Jake, I want to throw out something, as we did get a top secret message there that I think Stream might be interested in.
Oh?
And I think that they might be very interested in this. If you are watching this stream,
Oh.
we were generously given a handful, more than a handful, of codes for an Ana bundle. The new hero in the Nexus has been Ana, taking everybody by storm with those 2-second cooldown heals. And now I think we can proudly say that we've got some codes to give out to the stream, Jake.
Yeah, we will absolutely be doing those giveaways. We will have to figure that out a little bit later, but during the commercial breaks, we will be having Ana bundles. You get the hero, you get her entry skin. Pretty sweet deal. Big shout out to Blizzard for hooking us up. Ooh, they give us one more. Look, by the way, here's another one. So we got a handful of those. We'll be sure to hook you up. So, Ariel banned, Brightwing banned, Lieutenant Morales as the first pick.
Yeah, you know, we've seen the bans on Lieutenant Morales have been first banned for a while. And so now we have a different style as that was picked up. The Uther coming out and ETC as well. It leads me to believe that on a map like this where a hero that we haven't seen lately has kind of been the Genji, right? And so the Genji has been in a very peculiar spot, but Lieutenant Morales suffers from that self-defense. The safeguard's going to be there, but it requires a double support style. A double support on this can work. We've seen it come out from a lot of teams, but I really am afraid that if they don't get the Genji in the second ban, that Heroes Hearth will happily go into it.
Definitely something you have to always consider as a threat. Divine Mosh, scary in its own right. And this is... Johanna again. Gul'dan for the clear and the rotations. Both will help with that roam between mid and bottom. Interesting.
I mean, I like the Gul'dan pickup for the wave clear. It goes well with Johanna, but I think it's going to struggle in the same way. You know, the Genji pick is definitely going to have to be very prominent. You don't have the spread damage to kind of dish out against the Uther, not going Gul'dan. Not going Lunara in that Gul'dan slot. You know, we'll see how that plays out. I really want to see, you know, you're not exactly worried about the Lunara because you got to have the solo laner. However, Donkeys RS is the one team that we have seen probably go the 2-1-2 split more than anybody in terms of their laning setup, and they can kind of rotate over.
All right, Zagara banned out here.
Zagara ban, and that does give you that solo lane control that can safely be there, give you the vision. It's a little bit interesting because the Genji's not a... Like, Zagara's not a huge threat towards Genji, and we see Kel'Thuzad being banned. Haven't seen a whole lot of him just yet.
Now, Kel'Thuzad is definitely his best map. When you've got a fair bit of CC like ETC and Uther to control that space, the rotations can get scary, and in the event that you're able to complete the trait, you know, around level 7 or 8, which is possible, see as Steve, one of the guys in the HGC team, actually completed, I think, around 4 minutes in one game, he becomes a god. Just the way the hero works, totally respect that ban in this situation. But like you said, we don't see a lot of him. I think he got played once or twice. I think he has lost every single game played in HGC Open Division Cup number 7, the last one, and playoffs. But still, always something to consider. You never know what might be hiding in the secret basket of your enemy team.
Wondered if we might see the Dahaka. Instead, we're opting to go into the Malthael, and that's something that Lieutenant Morales struggles with, which means that with the Gul'dan Morales, it's going to feel weird if you go into another support here. You don't have that hard engage. You're basically more defensive with a solo damage dealer Gul'dan, and it's mainly just a deal with the Malthael, because the Malthael is going to be problematic if you dive against a solo Morales who has single target healing. Obviously, she can heal herself now, do that healing. but Malthael will torment its souls all over that team. You better hope that you have some type of control, because Uther does have the Divine Shield that will be available. So I want to see how this plays out, and I'm not sure if this draft so far for Donkeys R Us is ideal for what could potentially be coming their way.
Yeah, Malthael is going to be challenging for them. I mean, he's a dominant solo lane. You can try to put Sonya against it or something. I don't know.
This is the 2-1-2 split.
Yeah.
This is what they do. This is exactly what they do. We're not going to lose a 1-4 split or a 1-1-3 or a 1-4 rotation split, because we're not going to do it. So they're going to go 3-2 double support. So the full committal there. I talked about the potential Genji. Genji sees a little less value when he's running into lanes that are Vala Rhaegar, Johanna, Gul'dan, Morales. But I really think that if they want to go that route, I would not be surprised. They've got their melee, but they might, with this composition, maybe look for a double support themselves.
We've seen it. We've seen Mac on it a good bit this tournament, and he's one of the heroes that hasn't definitely been determined. Malthael does feel like a McIntyre hero, for sure, right? Falstad feels like a Crowan or Arthlon. It's been Arthlon so far in this entire tournament. And it puts us in an interesting situation where that is actually going to be the case.
Ooh.
This is looking like Mac Malthael, Falstad for Arthlon, and then Crowan on Jaina. And this is not the common double support we're getting so much of, but Jaina's so deadly on this map in particular. Frostbolt build, Icy Veins. I don't know if we'll see any level 13 and level 16 Blizzard talents in this game. But it's got the Dreadlord skin. Here we go, guys. Game number 2 on Dragonshire.
The Jaina allows them to keep up in the wave clear department, where Uther struggles, ETC struggles, Falstad will likely be flexing between lanes looking to get picks. Malthael going to struggle in a 2-1 situation, so Jaina gives you that really instant wave clear. And Crowan's chance at renewing his good name on Jaina.
He's going to do his darndest to do just that. Dragonshire, the place of battle here. Heroes Hearth up 1-0. It's a best-of-5 series if you're just tuning in. And we do get exactly that. Level 1 talents being locked in. Will be Seasoned Marksman for the Falstad. Hellfire build for the Gul'dan.
10 seconds.
Curious if we'll see the hybrid Vala once again.
Yeah, I mean, it's already gone into that hot pursuit at 1 as we've got Donkeys R Us down 1-0. They'll be manning the right side in red. Everything pretty standard across the board in terms of how this looks, although we do have the auto attack build for Uther coming in, not the Q and W builds.
Arthalon loves hopping around on that Falstad.
As always.
At least he didn't pick the Pirates.
That right there is prime example why you're going to have Jaina clearing, and they're going to opt to match the 2-1-2 or the 2-3 split that Donkeys R Us is coming out with, as Uther Jaina will be matched up against Vala Rhaegar top lane, while the other 3 members of these teams will be rotating between mid and bottom.
It's a pretty OG lane as far as the heroes in the game go.
Yeah.
Jin using the Iron Skin to get back to safety. Arthalon will be pressured down here.
Wonder how early or how often we'll see the Falstad fly up to try and get that pick, because if you can get the burst damage from Jaina and the slow and the hammering from Falstad, doesn't matter how much healing Rhaegar is going to be doing. That's potential there, especially you consider the lockdown of Uther, but right now Arthlon's got his hands full in this bottom lane.
Yeah, ETC and Malthael haven't been too aggressive with making their way down here. Right now, the dragon is glowing red, threatened by Donkeys R Us, and that really does force someone to keep Johanna honest. Crowan and BBJ haven't been able to go toe-to-toe here, it seems. Level 4 will help. Ishbu with the rotation up. The Hammer of Justice, Blizzard crashing down. Knockback. Did Frostbolt even get cast there?
Ishbu looking for an opportunity. The longer they stay up here and they don't get the kill, they're going to give up this push bot lane because they have no wave clear rotating down here. Falstad by himself, pre-7. His wave clear is pretty terrible. The kill potential hasn't been there. McIntyre's basically been handcuffed to the middle lane because both those shrines have been channeled for so long.
Top is blue for the first time. McIntyre looking to turn onto Ellaheim, where Ishbu potentially has the power slide. 1 second away. Oh, excuse me, that was the W cooldown. 2 seconds away now. Not going to be enough for the kill. McIntyre trying to get a little bit of sustain from the minions. Low on mana, low on health. And
oh my. Does he got it?
Low
Does
on,
he got it?
Oh.
Turned around to get that free guaranteed stack to work towards that quest talent. He's 20 out of 40 so far on those spell plays.
Once again, a lot of just early game control from Donkeys R Us, looking really clean at the start of this. Rhaegar now working on the first mercenary camp of the game, going for the Knights. Lala holding on to top, but will lose control of that as BBJ steps on in here. Soyuz not able to contest this without his Rhaegar.
Malthael just barely got the interrupt there, and you talked about the Rhaegar not being able to contest. They'll be able to in a short bit because that Knight camp will definitely apply that pressure. Jaina does have good clear that camp will be pushing, the bot lane being pushed, and this is Donkeys R Us style. They are forcing Heroes Hearth to adapt to this. I'm actually a little bit surprised of the laning matchup that they haven't maybe tried to switch this up. Instead, they're sticking to their guns. But the Gul'dan push in the bottom, eventually, Jake, you can only push that lane so hard. And if you hold till 7, now Falstad has Boomerang, and that bot lane will stall a bit now.
Boomerang, and you also get the Ice Lance here, gives Crowan a lot more potential. Crowan's also been doing a good job just making sure to get the globes in the lane. 8 in total have been picked up, needs 20 to get the additional damage from the trait. Crowan has that ice applied to his opponent, the Frost Chill.
Got 1,600 damage out of 15,000. That'll be a while. Post 10, when we get those fights breaking out, we'll be able to stack those up quite a bit easier.
Yeah, Ice Block
but
is a
right
long
there,
ways away.
just Q. Level 7 allows that to be a lot easier. As the cooldown reduction comes in as long as you hit a hero.
Finally, getting that red glow of the dragon turned off for a little while. In the top lane, LZ Gamer is lurking in that Rhaegar. It's been really interesting seeing LZ play a lot more of the supports. But so far, I mean, Rhaegar definitely has a lot of nice utility, so can't fault him for that.
McIntyre rotating to the top. We might have ourselves a fight here in a minute. Again, like I said, if you can get the zoning. Right now, Soy is completely zoned out from the Blizzard of Crowan. And
might not have hit once, but it can force the path. Got the job done.
Experience pretty even. Donkeys R Us has a slight lead so far. After our first blood, though, did catch things up a little bit. Ishbu rotating down. Slice Blade on the wrong side of the map, but
he's buying time for Arthlon to deal with the Giants, but Medic. Just Medic.
Feels bad, man.
With every ability in this kit, Arthlon does manage to kill one of the Giants. Level 10 is upon us. Body blocks, and actually might be enough here. No. Jin slips through to the shadows. Rotation now happening for Gul'dan and Medic. Where are they going? Back to lane.
Divine Storm. Trying to get the big blow up with the Ring of Frost into a Divine Storm.
And Stage Dive to help set that up.
Stage Dive, I think the way it'll go. Stage Dive will try and help set it up, allow you to go Tormented Souls directly in there, get the slow, get the ring to set it up, and Divine Storm. We're going to see if they can pull it off. Independently, they don't function too terribly in this composition, but if you can get that dream set up, oh my.
Yep, Horrify, a big form of shutting that down, going to be essential for them, but there's no Ice Block, there's no Crystal Aegis available for these players. It's, you know, when that combo comes in, do or die time.
It's really interesting because the way BBJ's had to play Uther, his stacks, although we've got to fight up top. BBJ, there's the stun. There's the Divine Storm. Tormented Souls are going to be out, reducing that healing that's going to be available. And there's the ring. The Ancestral lands just in time. BBJ.
Oh, so he's there in very low. Behind the wall he goes. Jin stepping on in, and the Stim Drone has been used. Medic healing up Soyuzarian nicely, allowing him to put on some DPS here. But with the Stim Drone Vala, we see the safe retreat. Both shrines under control. False Edge channeling already, and that will be the first dragon of the game. They do have time to slow it a little bit, and here it comes.
The ranged minion just kept denying him. It's like poke, poke.
Feels winging, man. This is tough. By the time the dragon is done, we're going to have all those heroics ready. Donkeys had a really, really good early game. They were able to structurally and rotationally win. And the dragon is being dealt with nicely. But even opening these couple walls does give them a good surge of experience towards level 13.
Gradually taking the lead. I'm waiting for our first big team fight.
Iron Skin.
It's like when you miss a kick, like a field goal, like you miss the ball.
You trip in the process.
Kind of your foot goes out, you hit nothing. That's what that looked like when Iron Skin got popped at the last second.
Charlie Brown classic. What's the girl's name in Charlie Brown? Is it Lucy or something? The girl that picks up the football? Let us know in chat.
Lost me on Charlie Brown.
Classic, man.
I mean,
I gotta watch the Pumpkin movie, The Great Pumpkin. Halloween time. I hope we get some cool skins for Halloween heroes this year. We've had some great ones in the past.
Hey, can you imagine? They give you the solid Jake skin. How terrifying is that?
Thanks, Jake.
Yeah. It's like a bear, right? It's like a bear with a human face. That is crazy.
Is that Misha? Good pressure onto the bottom lane with the Giants here. Stage dive up to the top, and that is going to be a double kill onto the Medic, and the Gul'dan Horrify never got used. You know, they got the kill before BBJ even arrived. We missed some of the action. T-Tours, but still worth the stage dive for sure.
One thing that interests me the most is that Gul'dan opted for Healthstone. And you are going to be dealing with auto attacks from Falstad, but your big threat obviously will be Jaina. Opting to not go the Spell Armor at 13. Same for Vala, not going Gloom, instead going the Siphoning Arrow. And so you've got two heroes that could potentially go into some form of Spell Armor against what will undoubtedly be a Divine Storm Ring of Frost combo at some point.
I mean, we just saw that double kill was actually, we missed most of it, so we didn't see it. What ended up happening was Divine Storm, Icy Veins, just Frost Shards slaying both. It's overwhelming for a Medic in that kind of situation. She can't deal with it. So they got to be careful. They got to respect that potential. And like you said, without that Spell Armor, you got to respect even further.
This is precisely the problem. This is, okay, so there's been a lot of chatter about Johanna's rework, but a lot of the talents allow her to engage a little bit earlier and have a little bit more control. But this is exactly why Johanna struggles, is that you have no form of initiation with this. McIntyre doing enough to stay on that point, allowing for the Dragon Knight to be picked up. But you have no form of engagement with this composition. Your double support, Malthael did die up at the top, but your engagement opportunities are extremely limited. And I think that's one of the things that I find to be a bit of a problem with Johanna. And it's not exactly fixed, because that's not her style of play. I think she still fits within that realm with a bit more. But this is exactly what we're seeing. That's the first kill for Donkey's R's, and they've been running Johanna 2 games in a row. And they have been struggling to find team fights.
They have. They're doing a good job holding on to this dragon with Malthil not on the table. The dragon is forced to play a little bit more passively, but the bottom 4 did fall with the assistance of the Night Camp that was picked up there. Stage dive into the top side of the map. Looking to deal with this. There is Falstad as well, and LZ Gamer has the wolf form. Will have a Chaniel ready if he decides to cast it. Not going to be enough, though.
Boom! Hooray.
Numbing Blast, a little bit more control in these fights. Again, Rhaegar can cleanse all he wants, but when you look for these Wombos, Divine Storm with a Blizzard into the Cone of Cold, you're being held there, you're taking a lot of damage, and the Icy Veins, Frost Shard, Frost Bolts, not going to feel too good.
We're close on some of these big talents. Fingers of Frost almost done. The Ice Block almost there for Jaina. So damage boost plus the Way of Protection. 39 stacks on Seasoned Marksman. Johanna on the other side, close to getting that bonus health, finishing Region Master. So big heroics, or excuse me, big talents about to be finished up here in just a moment.
And big talents as well. 16 did get picked up here for Donkeys R Us. Rampant Hellfire gonna really help the situation. They go for the Frost Shot here, and then the Earth Grasp Totem on Rhaegar. So it's going to give him a little bit more control in these fights. Gul'dan, if he's able to spam his Q for a while, will very well pressure the solo support Uther. But it never looked like they've been the ones on the aggressive side, as we do have the fight starting here. Heroes are looking for the engage. Horrify was used. Is it enough for them to find the kill? BPJ is holding on to dear life. Device from the last moment. Crowan is so very low, 40 HP. And the Ghost of Uther going to do his best to heal him up. But a win on the side. Donkeys R Us getting the 1 kill.
They got the kill, but that's exactly what they needed. They needed to get in that moment, in that situation. They have a hard time initiating the fights, but sometimes when the fight is brought to you, or you're all in the same spot as the lanes get open, it makes that easier, and they were able to do that. So one thing Dragonshire has for it in the way that it plays out is that you eventually have to fight over those shrines. And the fact that we finally saw the 5-stack come out there on even footing worked out pretty well for them.
Stage Dive and Ring of Frost are a thing, but Uther is down for 15 more seconds. It looks like they're going to be able to stall long enough to keep alive. I like that ATC just goes to the top lane to continue soaking. It's still a level advantage, but having the bottom lane open is a pretty amazing victory for the side of Donkeys R Us, because that's the lane with the 3 camps. That's an opportunity for them to end in a late game team fight.
Stage Dive is out, instantly met with the Rain of Vengeance, but all of a sudden we got the flight, the gust into the Ring of Frost. The Horrify is going to be a little bit late, but Morales is down. Gul'dan's going to be following. Crowan ice blocked at just the last moment. Soyuz Arian gets deleted. And just like that, LZ Gamer going to go down next. That's a 5-man team wipe.
A well-coordinated gust into Ring of Frost. Medic had no chance to even partake in that fight. This is going to be an impactful dragon. Overstate the welcome? I think so. You always have to respect Falstad flight gust plays like that. The Stage Dive, fly in.
How beautiful
Powerful
is that
engage.
into the ring? I mean,
It was so clean.
it was right there. Now they've got 20-tier advantage, all 5 dead. A keep all but guaranteed here. And you got to wonder if they might be able to send this one home and make sure that they find their way back into the finals as they're pushing in. Things looking grim here in game number 2 for Donkeys R Us. But remember, Jake, this is a best of 5.
It is. It is. But man, talk about, just getting the air knocked out of you, because they looked like they had this game evened up a little bit. This dragon has so much left in the tank. Staying alive here, pretty much impossible.
Shield is gone, health down to 50%, and rapidly falling. That's going to be Heroes Hearth taking game number 2 and closing it out in style there. But we will have our game 3 after this. But so far, Heroes Hearth looking like a much better team.
Yeah.
But it wasn't necessarily dominant in a sense. I mean, right around 10 things opened up, but 12 kills to 2. It's kind of hard to argue with that.
It is definitely difficult to argue against those numbers. Statistically, we're seeing McIntyre have great value on the melees. Love to see that in both games tonight versus Donkeys R Us so far. And yeah, I got to hand it to them. They played very well, but at the same time, Donkeys R Us, that was a slip up. To stay that long when you know your enemy team can stage dive from top lane, where ETC was, and Falstad can fly in right as he's back in action, they just got dismantled. It was super well executed by Heroes Hearth, that to the point where they were probably thinking, they probably knew it was going to happen, right? Thinking, well, we'll just horrify them. But they were not ready. The Falstad immediately barreled away, stalled it out for the extra second, didn't go straight into it, which is a common thing you see, and very well executed from Heroes Hearth. And now, one game from Heroes Hearth to get a spot in the Crucible, and Donkeys R Us to be done for the season, be done for the year.
They've got a tough hill to climb, I'd say.
Yeah.
And Heroes Hearth, oftentimes when they get the lead, it's very difficult to find your way back against this team.
It is.
In a series. So, but this is the best of 5. You know, we get our best of 5s in these special circumstances. So, you know, a lot of these teams, they've played best of 5s in their careers, but in the Open Division, we have best of 3 series.
Typically, yep.
Now best of 5. We'll see if they can find their way back. Towers of Doom will be game number 3.
Last night in the upper bracket finals, the winners finals, we saw a 2-0 lead for imported support, and it did go to game 5. So Heroes Hearth nearly made that turnaround happen here. Could have it happen to them. But the track record here does show Heroes Hearth as the favorites every single time they've matched up with Donkeys. That was true for imported as well, so who knows?
It seems draft-wise, this matchup is a bit better for Heroes Hearth as opposed to imported support. Donkeys R Us, we've talked about, you know, at length about having the different style that they like to play. The 2-1-2 that we saw there, that's not normal for a lot of teams. They play the double support.
Yeah.
They kind of control that, and it kind of just puts the brakes on a lot of the 4-man invades, and it makes it difficult. You know, we didn't see a Genji style. Instead, we saw the Malthael Falstad, which early game, you have really hard time getting picks, percentage damage. Falstad doesn't really come online until 7 in terms of the wave clear. The burst damage struggled pretty early in that game.
Once they hit 7,
yeah.
it all was looking better for Heroes Hearth. They found the control in those lanes, and yeah, it's definitely cool to see Heroes Hearth be like the one team that's playing a lot of Falstad. Like, that's becoming the Arthalon to go to almost in this tournament. We are going to Towers of Doom for game number 3 in this best of 5. So, Abathur ban has been a pretty common thing to see.
It's been pretty common.
A lot of Brightwing first picks.
Yeah, I almost wonder if we might see a Brightwing ban in our first ban phase. It's something that we haven't seen a lot, and depending on who it is, a Tassadar would fit in well for Heroes Hearth in terms of what they want to try and do. But last night we saw Brightwing come out for imported support, and they would pick up the Vala. Thus, and I've used this so much at this point, but forcing Crowan onto either a Gul'dan or Greymane, they are able to draft against that. Yeah. It denies the potential Tracer because the Brightwing's there, and Brightwing is a really good counter towards that. You've taken the Vala away, and you've kind of pushed them into the Lunar, which at times he's very happy to grab onto, but depending on the composition, it might not always work out. So you can kind of limit those. So I think playing around the Brightwing, her strength is obviously there in her kit, and the new rework on some of the talents. And so I think that taking that off the board might actually be a really good first ban option.
See a lot of waffles in the chat right now. Unfortunately, until we go to a true break, we will not be able to do giveaways due to basically a firewall restriction for the raffle software. I need to get a different PC for that. So mix it a little bit. We'll do several giveaways during that break, though. It's not going to be like one key. We're going to give, after this series completes, between now and the grand finals, we will give away 5 Ana bundles to the viewers here in the chat. So you have to be a follower, of course, when we get there, but it will not be until this series concludes and you see the commercial break screen.
I didn't get an Ana bundle, by the way.
I didn't either, but our viewers are going to get them.
I mean, I have the chat open. I'm a viewer, Jake.
Yeah. You're not eligible.
I'm watching the game right here. I've got chat right here.
Such greed.
You know what? The game's over there. We've got a feed right here. I have 4 chances by my calculations.
Dude, we have so many screens at this desk. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screens.
I might as well open my phone too.
Yeah.
So that my odds go up at this point.
The more tablets.
I almost think that I'm so committed I should automatically get one. I need to speak to somebody. Like, I'm here at Blizzard. If I just go start beating on doors, you think anybody's still here?
Bundle codes just exist. They just kind of like float around.
Like,
You
right
just
next
like
to the
pick
water
'em
cooler.
up. They just spawn.
Yeah, you go to grab like a paper towel. You go to dry your hands.
The
you're like,
toilet paper literally just printed with codes. Towers of Doom. It will be our map. 2-0 lead for Heroes Hearth. Blizzard is a magical place, and another big thank you for them bringing us out here so that Jayhow and I can prep together, cast in a live environment, hang out with the dev team, pick their brains about parts of the game, and of course, the Crucible coming up this weekend. That is what Heroes Hearth and Donkeys R Us are playing for. A spot in the grand finals of this event and the opportunity to fight Lag Force or even in death in the Crucible in a best-of-7 series Saturday and Sunday this coming week.
got him. Here comes first pick Ariel on the side of Donkeys R Us. On the other side will be the TAS and potential TAS Tracer. Hit me with that Tassadar Heroes Hearth.
I'd love to see it. Crowan, once upon a time, was considered a Tracer main. Really, that was like there was a time and place in 2016, early in the year, where he was just tearing people apart.
Summer 2016.
Yeah, and we don't see as much of it anymore.
I feel like it's got to be. The thing is, when you go Ariel, you generally don't go Tassadar.
Right.
So if you want to feign and show that you're not going that, you could safely pick it up on the second rotation, but you risk it getting banned. So there might be some play around this. ETC, Chromie. This gives you a safe option, and I'm telling you, if second ban is not one of these heroes, I imagine that that will be something to really consider.
If we saw the TAS Tracer, the likelihood of something like an Uther being picked up early to have that lockdown probably went up a lot. But with Chromie ETC, there's definitely a lot of ways to approach this. Vala, nice battery, globals, a hot commodity when Brightwing's banned out. You got to look at the Dahaka. Oh, man.
Yeah, there's the global play. I think, again, the Brightwing ban gives you a lot more flexibility for dive-style heroes. Again, the Tracer, to me, is the biggest threat. If it gets through, you can play that into this composition. You have great poke denial between a Chromie and a Tassadar. We see the Johanna Lucio. They are all about trying not to die in these compositions. Is this our third Johanna game in a row from Donkeys?
We have seen an immense rise of play for Johanna, period. Between imported support, Donkeys R Us, a lot of Johanna. When you see Joe, Lucio, Ariel, we have to look at the style that imported was playing primarily with the solo carry and the Zarya or Dahaka or Sonya Bruiser in that spot to also complement the solo lane, but at the same time be very difficult to kill. Cassia, considered here as a good option? No. Zagara's going to end up being the ban. So if this ends up being an imported draft, expect the Cassia, Sonya, Zarya, who knows? All the girls have "us" at the end of their names.
Ariel?
She doesn't. She starts with a
Ariola?
Ariella.
But anyways, I feel like we've got to see. I want to see the TAS Tracer at this point, unless you're just holding it. I feel like that is something that we would see. The Brightwing ban, a good ban, but I feel like that can enable that dive style hero. Whether it might even be the Malthael again, but the Lucio definitely keeps the Malthael a little less available.
Every single time we've seen Falstad played, it's been Arthlon. Every single game. Not saying Matt can't play Falstad. He can. He used to be known for it.
Yep.
Why ban Falstad over Dahaka here? There's many strengths to Falstad. The threat of Gust when you're fighting over Headless Horsemen. The threat of Gust when Web Weavers are pushing in or you're defending them. Definitely warranted, but 2 out of 2 games in the series, McIntyre has been playing melee. He's in the groove. He's in that mode. And when you're in the flow, when you're feeling hot at a specific role, typically you stick to it.
How do you turn the air on?
Or that. You pump up the AC. But I don't expect it. I expect McIntyre on the Dahaka, with that being left open as a good global opportunity. Arthlon playing the Chromie.
Crystal Aegis, Sound Barrier.
Ooh, Mouthveil. And Abathur.
We're going to get a Greymane or Genji, though. That's what I want to know. Oh, wait, they need a support.
Well, no, yeah, they want to.
Okay, I don't
know. That's Mouthveil with an Abathur.
I don't understand the Abathur with this composition.
It's weird over Dahaka. Like, but...
Wait, who are you cloning?
Here's also weird. That Abathur should be Arthlon, which means we're going to have Chromie as Crowan, which is we don't see often at all.
But what is this draft?
It's definitely a mix-up. Support-wise, it'll be responsive, Rhaegar or Malfurion, probably. Unless they do Stukov or something. This is not what we expected, but I don't hate it.
I need a poke style hero. Lunara, I think, works well. You could, because you've got the Ariel, it really makes... They end up going Vala to Haka, so they get their solo, they get the battery.
This is the hyper carry. Solo lane global. With the Haka left open, it's such a good pick here. Well, support BBJ.
Go 0 supports. Just go Illidan.
Abathur,
your only support.
He loves his Malfurion. Rhaegar is a good pick here.
This is the first time I'm looking at Heroes Hearth's draft, and I'm not saying it's bad. It just doesn't...
It doesn't feel like it's got the same kind of stability to it.
I mean, you clone a Malthael, you get percentage damage. If you can hit your Death Shroud on multiple people, then maybe you get extra % damage, but you have no AoE. It's single target. If you get blinded, if you clone Chromie, you've got to make sure you hit skill shots against a double support composition. I expect... We saw Siphoning Arrow from Vala. I feel that there's no world that we don't see something different. Gloom would be really good. Make sure your supports don't have to get those clutch heals. This is an interesting draft.
It's definitely not following what would have been the expected pattern that we see from Heroes Hearth.
So many times, Jake, in the Pro Division lately, I see Lucio banned out in the second ban because you're opting to go Malthael.
Right.
The sound barrier works really well against Tormented Souls. And so they confidently picked it into that. I want to see how this plays out. As
you know, it's funny because that interaction of it being such a good response to Malthael reminds me of one of the oldest metas in competitive heroes, which was when Ravenous Spirit was considered to be like a god tier heroic ability. And the response ended up being Tranquility for Malfurion. This was a lifetime ago, but it does remind me of that interaction because of how tried and true it is in the community when it comes to dealing with the Malthael that dives in. He's committing to the fight. He's putting out big numbers. Sound Barrier gives everyone that big shield and helps you live through it. So that's going to be their best response. They don't have any Polymorph or Emerald Wind to deal with it. But we do have a pause due to a communication issue with their whatever client they use. Talent-wise, Abathur. How is he building?
You know you've made such a name for yourself for so long when even your teammates type your previous gamer tag.
Italian. Slice Blade.
It's been Slice Blade for a while.
LZ corrects himself. I'm sorry. I mean Slice.
It's because he got called out for it. Somebody literally called out for it. Like, not only did he spell Italian, but he misspelled
E
it.
instead of an yeah. Full Hungering Arrow build will be the Vala style for here. Enhanced agility. On a Pale Horse.
On a Pale Horse has been popular.
Bigger maps, it's really nice.
But I don't like it. I'm not a fan of it. What does it bring to a team fight?
It's non-combat, yeah, it's a non-combat ability. And like, if you're a Malthael that's truly trying to roam a lot, it makes the style a little bit different. But you don't retain any movement speed after you're dismounted. It's purely movement speed on a mount. And it's almost like a weird talent to have. Like, how many heroes have that kind of mount-only talents that aren't like a mount-specific hero in terms of not having a mount?
Rhaegar has movement speed on his,
but by default he's slower, so it makes sense.
Yes.
Right? Wolf Run.
Technically, you're slower than you were before you picked the talent at level 1 if you're Malthael.
Fair. Fair point.
Got him.
Well, Malthael, with the Abathur hat, is proving to be a little bit difficult for Dahaka so far. Soyuzarian even opting to already hearth back and use that Brush Stalker to make his way back to the lane. Don't think he'll walk. A little bit of experience would be lost. And yes, that Brush Stalker now being used. And McIntyre was actually going out of his way to not clear this wave because he wanted wanted the minions to die before the return if he chose to walk. Now he's still dancing around a little bit, waiting for his opportunity.
As a Dahaka, you get wrecked in this lane. Not only does Malthael win, but a Malthael with an Abathur hat on it, who did go the Spike Burst talent at level 1.
He's going to be hat build, yeah. I mean, we might see some... Oh. Cheeky. Stall from McIntyre. Abathur safely grabbing that. No pressure offered because Ishbu has been maintaining this space, and we will have Crowan to stall in time. Uh-oh. That's a dead Dahaka.
Rip in pieces. That's going to be our first blood of the game. Dahaka, beautiful setup. Good use of the Abathur, recognizing that multiple members would be bottom and allows you to play around that. Bottom altar has not been channeled yet.
Oh no, this is going from bad to worse. Jhin is going to die here. One more spike from Abathur. There it goes. 2 altars going to Hero's Hearth in the top lane. LZ Gamer will confirm the bottom altar. I was honestly worried about it. At least they got one of them. They lost 2 heroes. Not hugely behind an XP or anything, though.
You know, we saw this previously when you go Mobius Loop at level 7, which reduces the damage of your Dragon's Breath, reduces the cooldown, but it reduces the damage.
Less burst.
It helps with the wave clear in a sense, but you have less burst. And a team that will be lacking in damage in some of these team fights will be interesting. The Rhaegar clone might be a little bit appealing at times, but I'm not sold on this composition until we see these post-10 fights.
I agree. There is definitely some merit for additional stalling of altars when it comes to the W. But overall... Oh, Feral Lunge, not quite enough for the kill as BBJ is being pressured. The Hat of Abathur going to be useful for the additional sustain. And that W, look how weak it looks compared to if you build for the center eye damage.
Nice knockback there. It's something we see to use against Johanna on our way in. Talents almost here, level 7. Both teams mirroring each other, getting their respective sapper camps. All the while, Dahaka has been bullied in every form or fashion on this map. When we talked about Hap build, Jake, well, we got ourselves a mule coming out from after.
Talent we don't see too much of nowadays, but definitely can be extremely valuable. Doesn't help too much with Sappers, just destroy your structure immediately. But you've got to give credit to Donkeys. They might have been being bullied in the top lane with that Dahaka. And getting the bottom wall down is a really nice thing to have in this situation. Man,
he was really far forward there, Jake.
Yeah.
Like, really far forward.
And Elohim's even in the bad spot too. If Dahaka wasn't there to absorb that Q from Chromie, Elohim actually would have died. Dahaka ends up being body blocked and goes down himself. But Abathur sitting in lane, they get the altar up 8 damage now.
This is just a weird spot for me, just simply due to the fact that it seems like all the errors on Donkey's side are self-inflicted.
Yeah, it does.
And it doesn't feel like they should be losing in the manner that they have been. They're also down 8 shots to an Abathur composition, and they've struggled during the altar phases. The first one especially was actually really well played by Heroes Hearth. You got to credit them on the way that they handled it. But I feel like Donkeys R Us is not doing themselves any favors either.
No, I mean, the game's far from over, right? But level 10, when that Abathur truly comes online, it's the challenge of the team fights goes up. They're also going to be way behind when it comes to reaching that level 10. The only thing they have going for them is the potential to keep pushing in the bottom lane, try to threaten getting some bell tower control. If you can have that advantage over your enemies, it can make a big difference in the late game, but Mule will help shut down a fair bit of that threat.
It does for now. We'll see how it stacks up as they've got their eyes on another Sapper camp here, but they'll probably be bullied off here as it's been sniffed out. With level 10, that is a fight you don't want to take. Mosh Pit ended up being locked in there.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised by that. You can have the threat of Rain of Vengeance, Condemn, Bless Shield, Boop, you know, Detainment. There's a lot of things that can help deal with the Mosh Pit, but Mosh Pit's still a great talent, great heroic ability.
Well, level 10 finally locked in. Dahaka will go into the adaptation, not the isolation. Everything pretty standard across the board, as you said. The Rain of Vengeance will be there to make sure for any potential interrupts on the Mosh Pit as well.
Yeah, with adaptation, as long as there's not a ton of overlap with like Sound Barrier, this team will seem like they live forever. Unless, of course, Crowan has landed some big burst damage. Malphil will do his worst as well. Just the single altar in the bottom half of the map that's slowing Sands in a position that makes it very safe for Crowan to just linger, but he's going to look to push that further forward as we have McIntyre going deep, forcing out an early Crystal Aegis.
The Crystal Aegis out, Sound Barrier out as well. McIntyre in a bad spot. Ancestral is going to land onto the McIntyre hero there, and the clone going to work as Ariel falls.
Mosh Pit onto one target, plenty enough for that kill, and the Iron Skin going to get Johanna behind the wall. 2-0. Abathur resumes his presence in the top lane, pushing that, and the core health continues to swing well in favor of Heroes Hearth.
Yeah, they are playing this a lot better than I anticipated, and Donkeys R Us is struggling to figure out what they need to do. The Tormented Souls came out early, and it put a lot of pressure on that back line.
It definitely seemed like it caught them off guard. They weren't expecting the rotation to be that quick. On a pale horse, boys! 20% additional mounted movement speed, getting him there. And then the clone. The clone is actually really nice. I mean, you can't really ask for a better defense situation. To Crystal Aegis, the target that was being focused, and then a Sound Barrier to follow up, it still wasn't even close to saving them.
It was very tough, and they're getting aggressive here. They go in.
Oh, this is ballsy, yeah. You gotta be careful here.
LZ hit a good detainment strike.
Yeah.
And LZ would have created all kinds of chaos there.
Malphil continuing to press the issue up top. They do need to be wary of the fact that Dahaka can global down and Malphil cannot, but Sappers look like they made it onto the top fort. A little bit of damage done.
36 to 24. Only one altar during that first triple altar phase. Speaking of triple altar phase, I believe the next one should be our second and last triple altar phase. So we'll see how they can. Actually, no, it's the one after this. This will be the fourth one. The next one will be the fifth one. So we've got double here.
2 altars up. Posture, looking for a quick rotation. Here comes Ishbu. The Tamer Strike is exactly what they needed to stop the threat. Dahaka looking for the actual
trying to get 13.
Normal rotation, weaving from brush to brush. Brush Stalker. Oh, time trap. Anticipating that as an opportunity for Dahaka.
Volley going in. Dragon's Breath falling onto Elhaim, and the Sandblast, nobody blocking that there. And we're just going to have another Dragon. But all of a sudden, we've got ourselves a mosh pit. McIntyre going in. The cleanse is going to be onto him. Sound Barrier in response. The Ancestral onto Malthael, and he's still going to work.
All the additional damage from the second Malthael in the back line leaves Jin secluded for a while. W confirming to find that kill in the Malthael. Could re-engage. Throwing that out, there goes the clone. Big splash, almost destroying LZ Gamer on Ariel. And it's going to be BBJ picking up the altar. Abathur picking up the other altar. Sappers will be started on shortly, and this game is running away from Donkeys.
It is getting out of control really quickly. The top bell tower starting to look vulnerable to fall. The bottom one going to be under pressure from the Sappers. We talked about it a minute ago. The next phase will be a triple altar phase. You're going to be down a talent tier. You've got to try and make something happen. It's going to be desperation mode. You lose a bell tower, you lose 2 altars in a fight, you have a bell tower down. We're looking at 16 shots. You lose more than that, you could potentially be losing a boss, maybe Sappers turn in. It's getting scary right now for Donkeys R Us as they find themselves down 2 games to 0 with their backs against the wall here on Towers of Doom.
It really feels like chaos on their end. The communication when you're facing Abathur is quite difficult. There's 2 Malthaels. You say focus Malthael. Which one? Sometimes in the chaos you choose the wrong target. Malthael got focused. Good play in the top lane. Finally getting a kill in this game. But in the team fights where there's the chaos of double Malthael and Chromie skill shots crashing down in every location, it just feels like Donkeys are scattered everywhere. Roaming in the fields.
Gotta get them pinned up there. But 16 picked up. That kill did help amount to a decent amount of experience in the top lane. Getting that kill, comeback mechanics there. They might be able to find themselves 16 now, Jake, before the next altar phase, which using the global and getting these rotations will help. But triple altar phase, here it is.
Triple altar phase. 3 Sappers to threaten the top lane. That'll keep Dahaka up here to defend that so that they do not lose the bell tower. With the ETC not being here and no stage dive, they are collapsing onto BBJ. Brushstalker should be enough to guarantee the death of BBJ. But Dahaka is actually looking at Chromie. BBJ has the hat, has the heals, cannot ancestral himself, and does go down. So that is a good victory for them. But Malthael currently channeling this behind that. Ishbu is looking to try to stall and buy some time. Soyuzarian isn't expecting that to be the case, and the blind is just in millisecond shy of getting the interrupt.
I don't know if the W was on cooldown on Johanna, going the movement speed at 7, but not able to make it in time. But now we've got the top left altar. No healer here, but we've got a decent amount of poke.
Heal for vision. Oh, the hat on the mule! Creative plays from Arthalon. Rhaegar has not returned yet, but he's almost back up. 16 just being picked up here for DRU.
Okay, Donkeys just gave it up, and they had to. They're now going to give up 2 altars, because taking the top left bell tower against a Chromie, it is almost impossible to do. Yeah, and you don't want to continue to give up that soak in the meantime, so they had to give that up. And that is a bitter, bitter pill to swallow.
It really is. Ishbu being zoned away from his team. Slowing Sands should be relocated soon. I mean, that makes it a little bit safer for Ishbu to push forward. And would love to get onto that point. Power slating behind Johanna. Ancestral has been used. There goes Malfield for the damage in the backside. The clone also from Arthlon forcing up the sound barrier.
Sound barrier is out, and you can see the cleanse was used onto McIntyre to try and stay in that, but who's not going to stay in is Jin, as he's going to be the first to fall, and we've got ourselves a mosh pit that hits nobody, and it was instantly interrupted by the Rain of Vengeance. Now BBJ eating a lot of damage, and they are on retreat to this double support comp. They will lose nobody.
I am not certain, but I believe ETC W'd in the instant that we saw Johanna die, preventing a Crystal Aegis from being able to be cast. Those kind of small plays, Crystal Aegis goes out, buys you a few more seconds to maybe get a heal in on Johanna. Maybe Iron Skin is ready after that, and the fight continues on. But with her down, we're now looking at this game to be in a really tough situation. Sapper is being worked on the top lane. That will destroy a bell tower shortly, or at least it should. The bottom lane is exposed but not vulnerable, but there is still a boss available on the map. 8 HP left for Donkeys R Us, and if they lose here, it's over. They're out, and Heroes Heart qualify for the Crucible.
This is scary prospect. Even if you don't get both altars, you can get an altar plus boss. As you said, this tower is now down. They're trying to get desperate, looking for a fight, looking for a pick, unable to find it. They are fighting for their lives here in 2017. This is the last chance they'll have for this season to get in. They find themselves on the left side of the map, defending, trying to hold here against Heroes Heart.
They need this offensive posture. They actually need a team fight here and now. Level 19 is here. 20 advantage. I mean, if you trade one altar to one altar, then you're worrying about 20 the next time they spawn. You just cannot afford that. So your fight for your life. Dahaka is going to be able to get one of the altars for the team, but the fight has begun.
The fight has begun. Crystal Aegis is out, but the sound barrier was too early before they came out of that. Bala is down. That is your main and only damage deal. Ariel is down. Despite that being channeled, this is going to be a team wipe. It's going to be an altar picked up, a boss picked up, and Jake Heroes Heart has done it. They have secured their spot in the Crucible. They have secured their spot in the grand finals here of the Open Division. And next up, they will play against imported support to figure out who will be the top seed and who will be able to pick their opponent in the Crucible.
A well-deserved victory for Heroes Hearth. A quick 3-0 sweep, and our Crucible teams, like you said, have been determined. This is fantastic. Heroes Hearth won every single cup this season except for the first cup. And honestly, we have to look at this team and talk a little bit about Heroes Hearth. Last season, Phase 1, there was a team called LFM Esports, and that's where Ishbu and BBJ came from. They were also the #1 seed going into Season 1 playoffs, but they didn't make it to the Crucible. Crushing. Team broke up. That's the end of that tale. Well, McIntyre and Crowan came from the Pro League, and then Arthlon came out of retirement. Former Tempo Storm, BlizzCon player, like
played on Cloud9 for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, like he is a veteran of a player to make this team. And last night when we saw Imported go up 2-0, I was terrified for them. It reminded me of Phase 1 playoffs where LFM lost it. But the double elimination bracket making the difference. Giving them the shot here in the lower bracket finals, they swept through Donkeys R Us, who had an amazing season. Big shout-outs to Donkeys R Us, consistently getting second place, third place all season long. But in the end, it's going to be Heroes Hearth and Imported Support as our Open Division champions.
Yeah, the two fantastic teams to represent it. And the good news is, Jake, we're not done yet. We get to see them face off one more time. We had the epic 5-game series last night as our nightcap, where we had Imported Support take that 3-2. And now we get to find out, was it a fluke?
Rematch, yeah.
Was it a fluke? We have a best of 5 to cap off tonight between the same two teams. Imported Support got to be feeling pretty good about their chances getting over that hump that they could not get through during the cups that we had. And as you mentioned, they weren't necessarily there for the first one, but the Heroes Hearth at the time did not win that one either. So now we get to just square off. 2 of the top of Open Division earn their spots here. They now find themselves in the grand finals, and in a very direct and simple point, the winner of this will definitely be choosing even in death. There is no mistake about it that Lag Force has picked up the speed in the second half of the HGC Pro Division. Even in death had still struggled to find their way. It's their first season in. They played in from the Open Division last season. Struggled to find footing. But they are a veteran team that has the Pro Division experience. They will be no slouch, but people will have their eyes set on them.
You know, we've consulted the HGC Pro League casters from North America to get their opinions, Gillyweed and Dreadnought. And they said, don't sleep on Even in Death. That's the feedback they've given. So we're not saying Even in Death is a free win by any means. They're an HGC team. They've been playing in all of Phase 2 every weekend against the best teams in North America. No matter what the state of your team is, that levels you up. Their quality of practice, their quality of scrim partners, and their quality of just drafting and playing against a variety of styles is definitely a different level of what we get in Open Division. But it's going to be one more best of 5 tonight, the rematch between Import and its Heroes Hearth, and the winner's advantage is monstrous.
It's pretty big.
Pretty big.
It's pretty big. It's just getting to the Crucible. Got to be a good feeling. Take a lot of the weight off your shoulders, and then you look at yourself and you're like, wait a minute. There's a lot of importance on this final match. So not over yet. The tension's going to be there. There's many reasons. We talked about it. If, for whatever reason, something happens to one of the Pro Division teams, we saw a disband like last time, winning this would automatically qualify you for that the same way that Even in Death got in. So it's not just choosing. It's that backup option of if something happens. Maybe something crazy happens in the offseason. We don't know yet. We're going to find out who our winner will be as take a look at this.
It's been a long journey for these teams, and it's going to be a straight-up best of 5. No advantage for either side. It's a new scenario. Heroes Hearth and Imported Support coming up in just a few moments. Yes, we're giving away 5 ANA bundles during this break. Be sure to be a follower of the Arcane8 channel while we prepare for the final match of the evening. Make sure to tell your friends. Get on social media because this is the beginning of the potential new blood in HGC. We'll find out soon.